Hello, soul walkers. Here I am with David Lurey in the beautiful island of Corfu, in Arelis, in this great festival called Sound and Silence. We met. I met David in a beautiful yoga class, and it made me think that I wanted to do this project of getting people to talk about the soul connection, walking from the soul, so you can get inspired to walk from your soul and know that it is possible. So thank you, David, for
You're
being
welcome.
with me.
My pleasure.
And David is an amazing yoga teacher. He mixes creativity, philosophy, anatomy, uh, also singing and guitar playing. And I had a great moment in his class. And I told myself it would be really that great that he tells his story and the big moments of his path to connect to his soul and to his life journey. Yeah.
Super. Thank you. Um, I love big picture questions because my perspective on life is often one from the macro perspective. And in this way, the concept of soul walking, um, it for sure attracts me very, very much because it feels like it's something that I've been doing for a big part of my life. Um, I come from a more traditional, if there is such a thing, traditional American Jewish family. And being raised in that environment, we had ceremonies and rituals. And so there was always something of the religious sacredness present in my younger life. And I think that has been an influence and created some connection to ritual and ceremony and things like this in my life. And as I was growing through my life, thinking about different chapters and pieces along the way that have directed me towards the place where I am now, uh, I have to say, especially to some of you out there that might be watching this, that some of the steps along the way I would have never imagined would be the perfect steps for me to become a yoga teacher on a spiritual journey, bringing creativity and body and emotion and intellect and spirit in the things that I do, because I went to university and I studied business and
Okay.
hotel and restaurant management. And after that, I got work at a big hotel chain in the United States and was working in the corporate environment in the hotels. After that, trucks drive by here. We're sitting in
Yeah.
the beautiful village of Arilas. After this hotel job, I found some work in the software industry. And those were kind of the three big pieces of my life that, when looked at from the big picture, were the perfect stepping stones to be where I am today. But if you look at it from a logical approach, well, how can a guy who studies business, ran food and beverage operations in a hotel, and built databases now touch people's hearts and stretch the hamstrings and connect through music and things like
Yeah.
this? And part of the feeling that I have on my soul walking path is that each time I got one of those opportunities, it felt like the right thing.
Okay.
My evolution from my family life to go to university was a natural progression, and I was excited about it. I wanted it, and it was
Okay.
present for me. When I finished my university studies, I was honored, I was proud, I was happy to have this job that I had studied 4 years for, and it was like, wow, I prepared for it, I did all my training, and boom, this was exactly what fell into my lap. And then I worked in those jobs, or in that job at the hotel, for a couple years, and in the first several years, it really fed me. I was learning, I was interacting with people, I was genuinely happy. And at some point, that shifted. And it could have been a combination of the fact that hotel and restaurant work is really difficult work. It's a very high stress, high impact environment. But it also could be that a greater hand was guiding me somewhere along the way. And I listened to that, and there were a few key moments. My mother would say, the straw that broke the camel's back. Here's the whole thing. And one or two key instances really made it clear that I needed to quit that
Yeah.
without anything else to do and just step off into the void. And I did that. And a few months later, I found this beautiful job building databases and software. I was in San Francisco, California, and it had a little bit to do with my history and my background. It was in the business environment. It was in hotels and restaurants. But it was very much of an intellectual-based process, and uh, and and it started feeding me in new ways, and I loved it, and I was growing, and I was learning about technology, and I was also interacting with people. I was building databases with big chain restaurants and hotels, so there was still the human connection piece of it, but I felt I was in the right place, and it was fantastic, and could be part of my nature, but another thing, it lasted about 3 years, the same as the other job and the university. So, and then at a certain point, it started to not feel like it was my path anymore.
Okay.
And there's no other words to say it other than like it just wasn't right. And again, a couple of key moments transpired, and the last drop in the bucket, I quit the job of the software industry just because I knew that it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
My
I think
soul wasn't
there's
fulfilled.
okay, that's great. And there's a lot of interesting things that y it is interesting that in your story you don't, most of people say that when they walk into their soul path, the before life is like a different life, but for you it
Right.
was like a building step that
Yes,
permit you to be the person you are today. So,
totally.
and the other thing that it was really interesting is that you felt it,
Hmm.
that you were fine, you were in your spot, and sometime one day you didn't feel it anymore, that you needed a change, a shift.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's true. Because for sure, my soul path involved university, working at the hotel, and working in the software. Because the other part of the soul journey, and here comes the esoteric piece while I look into the camera and tell you who's watching this, you are already on your soul's journey. You cannot avoid it. It is inevitable from the moment of conception, from the moment the soul becomes uh, makes the choice to have this human experience. You are already on your soul path. The question is, and I think this is what the beauty of what Pablo is sharing here is, how to align the soul's path with a joyful, connected, and engaging material life. Because that's what we're here. We've got, on average, 80,000 days. We live, a certain amount of something like this, to be here. I think that's my math might not be totally correct. Sometimes I mess up numbers, but it's a fairly short period of time that our soul is walking on the planet. So when we can take that limited time of the soul's inhabitation of a human form and bring joy and connection and wonder and curiosity and exploration to it,
yeah,
then the soul walker has motivation to keep walking.
yeah. It has like a something's leading him.
Yes, yes, yeah. There's oftentimes the reference between a push and a pull,
Yeah.
and I think the more externally based is a pulling you
Okay.
forward, and when it's an internal push towards something, this is
Okay.
the soul
It's like if
talking.
you make the choice. Before you were like being like you were having these steps that were like being really important for your formation, but in a
Yes,
moment you choose to have another life. You choose to do the training in yoga. You
yes,
choose
yeah.
from your soul to have the life you want to have. Enjoy and
Yes. Yeah, because uh, the aspect of choice is so important in the material life because it will determine whether the soul is fulfilled in the material life.
okay.
The soul is always fulfilled and is ever present and is ever a state of bliss.
Yeah.
Um, but our human experience isn't always. So I think that what we're looking for is to align. I teach it as the body, the emotion, the intellect, and the spirit coming together. So the spirit has the path, when the intellect and the emotion can be fulfilled in whatever it is that you do. And for some people, and I think this is an important thing to bring out with programs like this, becoming a yoga teacher, a movement instructor, opening up a vegan cafe are not the only ways to fulfill your soul. Our daughter is in her just beginning her 6th year of medical studies. She's immersed in medicine. She studies like crazy. I wonder, what are you doing with her life? And she loves it.
She's passionate about
She
it.
is walking her soul's path
That's beautiful.
because she's passionate about medicine. And where it will go, we have no idea. But, even those that are in corporate environments, within businesses that are doing things in the world, as long as they're causing no harm,
Yeah.
it very well can be aligned with the soul's path.
Okay, that it makes sense for you.
Claro.
Okay.
Yes.
And how was it for you when you did that shift? Like,
I've made the shifts quite some time ago, so it's a little difficult to go back because I could easily look and say, oh, it was rainbows and unicorns and it was the
Yeah.
perfect moment. I'm pretty sure it was scary as can be. I'm pretty sure that it was difficult because I was attached to money and security and the things that each of the jobs had in
Yeah.
place for me. So it was scary. It involved a lot of faith and trust. And
And I think it was you told us that it was the jumping, the
yes.
going for it, like the
Yeah.
action, taking risk, the courage that we were talking yesterday
Yes.
in the festival.
Yeah, exactly. The courage, because with each of the steps, I didn't know what was coming next. And I was telling Pablo a story. Also, we have a son who's doing a little bit, he's walking his soul's path right now as well. And when he came to us talking about quitting or leaving his university studies, normally the parents would look and say, well, what are you going to do? And he said, well, I don't know what I want to do. And so we said, well, this is probably the best thing, because now you're never going to know what you want or what you're supposed to do when you're stuck in what you don't want to do.
That's great.
That's a good place to
yeah,
end.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the last question, why is it important for you to walk a soul path in this world? How is it? How problematic it is in politics, in wars, all that things. Why is it important to walk your soul's path?
I believe that when we are on the path of the soul, we are not causing harm, violence, or adding to suffering. So it can really be boiled down to that. We are being a positive contribution to the vibrational frequencies of the universe rather than adding violence, aggression, and harm. And as we can see in modern times, that has been pulled away from the soul path because the power of the intellect and greed and attachment and security and safety have created fear in people and pulled them away from the path of the soul, because walking the path of the soul is a scary thing. You have to trust, but it's not a fear-based practice. It's a love and trust-based practice, but it's like alchemy, taking the fear of walking the soul's path and transforming it into a feeling of love.
Okay, choose love.
Choose love.
Even though fear is there.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
What would you say to a person who's starting the path? You know, how can he find his path and trust and build like this internal power to risk a little bit?
Again, I'll tap into the wisdom of my mother. Put your faith in God, but tie your camel first. So feel what it is. If you're sure that what you're doing now is not the right thing, then you are already connected to some feeling. You don't have to know what your direct path is. So be okay with the unknown is one concrete piece of advice. Be totally okay with not knowing where you're going. read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. There's another concrete piece of advice. And number three, pay attention to the laws of expansion and contraction. And when you are faced with a conscious choice, go to the left, go to the right, quit this job, stay with this job, start this work, do this work, take this training, not training. Does this give me a feeling of expansion? Go for it. Does this give me a feeling of contraction? There are other things waiting for you.
Like trust your intuition.
Yes. But I like the expansion and contraction because intuition to me is a bit esoteric and vague. What do you mean? Yeah. Like this is a feeling.
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Here's the choice I'm making. Picture yourself in this course or picture yourself at this job or at this restaurant, whatever. Is it a feeling of expansion?
Okay.
Vamos.
Great. And dive in.
Yes.
Great. Because you're always in your soul's path, as David told us. You know, even though if you're in a work that it doesn't satisfy you, you're in your soul's path. You're learning something. And how do you feel it?
Well, I was when you're saying because even Donald Trump is on his soul's path.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to understand. But yeah.
Yes. Even
he's playing the note in the whole symphony. You know.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Intellectually and emotionally, I never understand that.
Yeah, I get you.
But I also I have a big picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So thank you very much, David.
You're welcome,
for
Pablo.
this wisdom and sharing your experience.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for listening to us. And we'll be soon with another interview of a soul walker. But thank you very much, David.
You're welcome. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao.
When I think I know something, it's when the beauty stops. When I think I know something, it's when I'm far away from you. When I know nothing, it's when the beauty starts to unfold. When I know nothing, it's when I'm neither young nor old. When I know nothing, it's when I start to see your face. When I know nothing, it's when I'm wrapped inside of your grace. When I'm wrapped inside of your grace. May I remember this. May I remember this. May I remember this. May I remember this. When I think I'm this body, the light inside begins to dim. When I think I'm this body, in an ocean of delusion I swim. When I think I'm this body, the light of life begins to fade. When I think I'm this body, I struggle from the womb to the grave. I struggle from the womb to the grave. When I know I am the soul, I can't believe the joy in my life. When I know I am the soul, there's a flame of truth burning deep inside. When I know I am the soul, it doesn't matter where I am. I'm surrounded by angels. All the years, the ground on which I stand. All the years, the ground on which I stand. May I remember this. May I remember this. May I remember this. May I remember this. am separate from the magic inherent in each breath. When I think I am separate, I'm failing one of life's greatest tests. When I think I am separate, I'm out to sea in a boat with no sail. When I think I am separate, you're right beside me, but I think no one is there. Oh, no one is there. When I know I'm connected to the power that makes the river flow. When I know I'm connected to the magic that makes my garden grow. When I know I'm connected to each and every living thing, then the earth is respected, and in the wind you can hear her sing. In the wind you can hear her sing. May I remember, may I remember this. 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 May I remember.